Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to our annual Thanksgiving Assembly. And if we have some missing seats, no fear, these are going to be performers, so all these empty seats are probably backstage right now. This is such a special assembly, and each year I look forward to it because it's really our community, our Harpeth Hall family time to reflect and to be thankful. I'll share with you that Thanksgiving has become my favorite holiday. I love it that we all are given just a little breather right now in November, a time to push pause. Sometimes in November, we can feel like the evening begins to crawl in before we have even left the campus at 3:10 or 3:15. Do you ever feel like that when you're in the car on the way home at this time of year? This time of year always makes me think of wet leaves, makes me think of a strange sky, a darker sky. And many of you are thinking right now, Ms. Hill, this is really weird that you have chosen this time of year with a darker sky to be your favorite holiday. I actually enjoy it because of its simplicity. It's strictly a holiday for us in the United States, and the only real agenda is that we pause on that day and we are thankful for those things that matter most to us. We spend time with family and friends. For some of us, it is about a turkey and a particular list of side dishes that we can all think of in our heads, and maybe particular desserts. And for others, it is not. Whatever your tradition is, I think we can all agree that the main agenda is to give thanks. I have come to appreciate gratitude in a whole new way in recent years. There have actually been scientific studies about gratitude and its incredible benefits. When we think about what we are most grateful for, we want to share it with others. Gratitude actually moves us away from thinking about the list of things we are stressed or worried about and reminds us of the good things in our life. Studies have actually shown that being grateful makes us more honest, less likely to be impulsive in our choices. It also helps us be less materialistic. Who knew on Black Friday it was less materialistic? But one of the central purposes of gratitude is that it helps us form strong bonds with other people. If we are grateful for another person's thoughtfulness, we want to connect with that person. We also are more likely to pass it on. So while we are together this afternoon, I'd like for all of you to take a minute and think about the people and or things and or events for which you are the most grateful. Close your eyes for just a few seconds, clear your mind of all the things that are going through it right now, and concentrate on your gratitude list. Concentrate on that for just a few minutes. It can be one thing or 20 things. Okay, I can't really read all of your minds right now, but I did have the opportunity this week to spend a little time in front of the gratitude quilt in the middle school and the turkeys that the 12th grade and the 5th graders made, and I looked in the upper school as well. So here are a few things that may have been going on in the minds of some of the middle school girls. There's some of the things that they wrote about anyway, that they are grateful for dogs, for teachers, my brother, my family, my health, Netflix, fireplaces, friends, nature, laughter, my comfy bed, black beans, and surprisingly lettuce was on the list. And in the upper school, we had the following: the Disney Channel, chicken biscuits, women in government, pumpkin pie, Act Now, my sister, freedom of speech, and the color yellow. Pretty great. And just think of all of the things we could add to that list if we added what we just thought about a few minutes ago. So here's the challenge for all of us. Truth be told, we need to think of these things on days other than Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is already a pleasant day. No stress, no homework, no tests, no agendas, except to be thankful. It is the other days when we need the ripple effects of gratitude. Let's try to find time each day to think back to the list you made in your mind this afternoon. Let's challenge each other to do it when we are having our worst day or our hardest week. I think if we all put our mind to this, it could change our school for the better. I'm incredibly grateful to be here with all of you today, and I can assure you that the people in this room are at the top of my gratitude list, along with my family. Thank you for forming this wonderful community where we care about learning new things, making ourselves better people, and working each year to form yet a better community. Thank you. And now we have a wonderful program to share with you today. I'm excited to hear from our speakers, Ms. Richard, middle school social science teacher, senior Eleanor Rankin, and 8th grade student Sophia Mendoza. We will also hear from our 5th and 6th grade string ensemble, and we will enjoy a dance performance as well. And now, without further ado, our 5th and 6th grade string ensemble and Ms. McDermott will come up to introduce it. Thank you.
Good afternoon. What a great day and a lovely assembly. We're excited to have our 5th and 6th grade strings. These young ladies have come in quite often before school and worked really hard. And unfortunately today we are down 2 cello players who are stricken with some illness. So like a trooper, the show must go on. So I'm going to go ahead and sub in for them. Just FYI, not a cello player, but I feel pretty confident that we're going to do well today. So we're going to be playing the song Simple Gifts, very fitting for today.
Thanksgiving for me holds a wonderful spark. The glimmer of thankfulness that comes across our minds, the flicker of appreciation towards those who have given us invaluable advice. Maybe my affinity for this mindset is because when I was growing up, my mom placed a literal small tree in our dining room where we would write on paper leaves what we were grateful for every single night, all year long. Maybe it is because my wonderful friends have gifted me the most appreciated gift of friendship. Regardless, whatever you take from what I have to say, I encourage everyone to find their spark of gratitude and to follow it. I've learned to experience gratitude in my own life by listening and internalizing what my peers and mentors value in their lives, and that's what I hope to do for you today. We all know mentors, teachers, coaches, and family who have transformed our lives into something we could have never imagined. Many people around us have sacrificed their time, money, and energy so that we can gain new experiences, skills, and knowledge. This type of behind-the-scenes sacrifice defines my personal story. Although I'm not always aware of just how much the sacrifices of others have made me the person I am, I'm eternally grateful. As a senior looking back on the past 17 years in Nashville, I'm most grateful to my mom. She single-handedly raised 3 kids with no financial support, while placing primary importance on keeping God and goodness in our hearts. Her fierce determination to let nothing affect how her children will grow up is the only reason I'm standing on this stage today. I'm thankful for my grandparents who picked me up from elementary school every single day for 4 years and continue to help make my dreams a reality by encouraging me to take risks while reminding me that I'm ready and able to take on whatever comes next. The wisdom we receive from the people close to us cannot be found in any textbook and should be the source of our most authentic gratitude. Many people grow up believing that success is defined by professional accomplishments and that the most meaningful contributions to our world are made through money or power. However, gratitude is a currency that impacts our society more effectively and more powerfully than any of those traditional measures. Infusing gratitude into our communities, no matter how big or how small, will cause a ripple effect of positivity on those around us. This is what a meaningful contribution to our world really looks like. And although many people believe that it is easier said than done, it's simpler than we think. For many young people today, the pressure that we have to do something distorts the reality that we get to do something. This mentality prevents us from recognizing the opportunities we have every single day. This is in no way intended to discredit the amount of pressure that we might feel in academic environments. But what we have to understand is that we have the opportunity to have these expectations. We have the opportunity to succeed, to fail, and to try again. According to the United Nations, 65 million girls globally are unable to attend school, and 31 million girls of primary school age aren't even in school. These girls don't get the opportunity to succeed, to fail, or even try. It is hard to understand the enormous implications of this statistic, but it clearly demonstrates how thankful we should be for our education. Seniors, think to yourself for a second about just how much we've learned since the 5th grade. Think about what you believed was important, what your political views were, how you saw the world. Now realize how much we have all grown. We don't have to go to school to learn how to see the world through a more enlightened lens. We get to. This is something we should all take the time to be grateful for. To my fellow seniors, I'm grateful for every single one of you. Spending the past 8 years with you has taught me the power of a strong community, given me the will to push forward through hard times, and instilled in me appreciation for friendships that will withstand the test of time. Whether it takes putting a paper leaf on the thankfulness tree or not, I encourage everyone to find their spark of gratitude and to follow it. Thank you.
What comes to mind when you think of Thanksgiving, the holiday that falls on the fourth Thursday in November every year? Thanksgiving is a very meaningful and special day for me. It is a day where I count my blessings and be grateful for those around me. It only comes once a year, but never fails to leave me with a full stomach. It's the one time it's acceptable to stuff your face and not worry about the consequences. Thanksgiving is my favorite time of the year because it magically brings my family together even when we haven't seen each other in a long time. Every year for Thanksgiving, my family and I go to my grandparents' house. As I walk in, the aroma of steaming turkey and creamy corn makes me smile. After exchanging greetings, we all grab a plate, serve ourselves, and then sit down. We sit at the same table every year. There is one thing that my family has learned throughout the past years, and that is we can sit anywhere except for the one chair reserved for my grandfather, Daniel Mendoza, but we call him Pop. The chair that my grandfather always sits in is at the end of the table and represents the head of the family. This tradition is very significant to my family because it teaches us to show respect for others. May 5th, 2017, my grandfather passed away. I can't even describe how good of a person, father, and grandfather he was to me and the people around him. He brightened everyone's day by his loving personality and his kind heart. If I were to pick a role model in my life, it would definitely be him. Pop was a pediatrician and worked in Hendersonville for 35 years. He cared for sick children with life-threatening illnesses. One way he helped his patients he would ride in the ambulance with him from his office in Hendersonville to the Vanderbilt Children's Hospital because he wanted to make sure he was by their side. This was extremely rare for a doctor to do, which showed the love and support he had for his patients. In Nashville and the Middle Tennessee area, he was known to be one of the best doctors. Many doctors looked up to him and were amazed by his skills. He not only saved babies' lives, but also saved mine by just being in it. Out of the many lessons he taught me, the one I remember most is to live in the moment and have a positive outlook on life, even when things around you aren't going as planned. It was Thanksgiving after Pop passed away, and everything felt different. My family and I got our food and were choosing where to sit. Then we realized the special chair that my grandfather always sat in was empty. Suddenly, there was a moment of silence, and sad thoughts came rushing in. My family and I exchanged glances, wondering who would fill in and match the expectations my grandfather set. After thinking for a while, we decided the person who would be best for this position was my dad. While we were eating, tears came pouring down our cheeks because it was the first Thanksgiving without Pop, and it was not nearly the same as when he was there. One of the things I miss most about him was he shared the funniest stories about when he got in trouble as a kid, and with these stories brought many laughs, but also lifelong lessons. Every Thanksgiving after we ate, Pop and I would record videos and take pictures of ourselves using Photo Booth. The filters, making his mouth look really big or his eyes look really small, made him laugh so hard, laughter filled the room. I teared up writing this speech because of the wonderful attributes he portrayed during his lifetime. I realize now that I took for granted all the happy times we spent together and his presence in general. From this experience, I learned that the absence of a loved one can affect tradition and the way I live. Without Pop these past few years, it has taught me how one person can have such a big impact. I'm so fortunate to have had an inspiration like him in my life, and I'm sure you all can relate with your role model as well. Even though he may not be with us anymore, his spirit will continue to be in our hearts as we come together to celebrate the day of giving thanks. A wise man once said, "Enjoy the little things, for one day you may look back and realize they were the big things." Thank you.
Hey, good afternoon. This is the 5th and 6th grade choir. It's the first time they've sung together, so I'm really excited about this. And we're singing a song called Moment by Moment by Sherry Blevins. And this piece is all about finding joy in the simple things in life and just taking time to, seize the day and realize this is a special moment. So, enjoy.
Have you ever chased a rainbow, casting colors across the sky? Have you witnessed fireflies dancing, painting patterns in the night? Have you ever braved the ocean? Let your toes sink in the sand. Have you ever caught a moment? Held paradise in your hand? Live moment by moment. Find perfection in each day. There is joy in every moment. Let each one take you out. Live moment by moment. Find perfection in each day. There is joy in every moment. Let each one take you out. Have you ever joy of laughter? Know the warmth of friendship true? Have you ever shared a blessing and had it come back to you? Have you ever felt so happy that you smile at everything? Have you felt such blissful perfection that all you can do is sing? All you do is sing. Live moment by moment. Find perfection in each day. There is joy in every moment. Let each one take you out. Live moment by moment. Find perfection in each day. There is joy in every moment. Let each one take your breath away.
When I was younger, Thanksgiving was such a fun time. You know, for most people, when they would go to Thanksgiving, they would think about the turkey, they would think about the dressing, they would think about all the food that they would have. For me, Thanksgiving meant two things. It meant number one, the best brownies you have ever tasted in your whole entire life. And number two, it meant competition. You see, we spent our Thanksgivings when I was younger at a family friend's house. Her name was Mrs. Cox. And in her garage, there was a ping pong table. And we did not have a ping pong table at my house. So this was my one opportunity to take them down like a muffin. So we would rush through our dinner and we would head out to the garage in our Thanksgiving finery. And her two sons and my brother and I, we would play this huge ping pong tournament until 11 o'clock at night when they were dragging us kicking and screaming out of the garage. And so I always looked forward to that day because I had a chance to play. And when I got older, Thanksgiving meant more about family. Now, there was still playing involved and certainly some competition because we definitely had some family board games where there was definitely some competition. But as I got older, it became about spending time with the people who were most important to me, with my nephew and my 3 nieces. And so I remember when my nephew was little, and he loved Pokemon. And he would stand across the living room, and he would say, "I choose you, Charizard!" I didn't know anything about Pokemon, but he was clearly expecting me to do something. So I said, "I choose you, Floor Lamp!" And then he would run and he would jump on me. And he thought it was so funny that I didn't know the characters, and so it became our game that I would make up characters for Pokemon and he would run and jump on me. Now, my middle niece, she was more about telling me what to do. "Sit right there, Cappy. You sit right there. We play Wee Bobbles." Now, most of you have no idea what I'm talking about, but it was actually Weebles. It was a very old toy that was around when I was a kid that we somehow found for her when she was 2. And the slogan for Weebles was "Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down." So she just put it together and it was Wee Bobbles. And so I remember sitting there and having these adventures with her where she would tell me what to do and I would do it. And then my twin nieces, who are 3 years younger, they use me as their personal jungle gym. And so they love jumping on me, and they also love to be tickled. And they were so proud of themselves because one day they invented a special tickle called spider tickle. You have to say it, spider tickle. You can't say spider tickle because it doesn't work. So we would play and we would tickle and then they would jump on me and then they would say, "Aunt Cappy, spider tickle." And so we had this opportunity to play, but it wasn't about competition. It was about being together and having fun. And so family became, for me, what Thanksgiving is until last year. And last year was different. Last year, I had a severe back injury, and I was unable to travel. And so I couldn't drive long enough to make the 2.5-hour journey to my brother's house for Thanksgiving. And so I made the difficult decision to spend Thanksgiving alone. And I had so many of my colleagues in this room here who invited me over for Thanksgiving dinner. But I just couldn't imagine sitting on someone else's couch in horrible pain, trying to make conversation with people around me. And so I politely declined with my thanks. And so it was on Wednesday morning, I was sitting on my couch, contemplating, well, quite frankly, I was feeling sorry for myself. And I noticed that there was an email message waiting for me. And I opened up the email and it said, "Hello, Kathy." And it was from one of my tennis teammates. It was very, very short. It said, "Kathy, I just want to thank you for supporting me and encouraging me. You will never know how much that means." And so even though I couldn't play tennis and I hadn't seen her in weeks, somehow on that very day, she decided that that was the day to send me a message of gratitude. And it was such a wonderful experience because even though I couldn't do what I was used to doing, I could still be valued. I still had purpose as a human being. And what was interesting is that message started just a series of these little events that reminded me of the power of gratitude. I would get a text from a friend. I got a video chat from my nephew and my nieces. My sister-in-law sent me a care package of all sorts of goodies. I think there were some brownies in there. And I also was watching the Saints pregame, and they happened to have a feature that day on Steve Gleason, who was a member of the Saints team, is actually a part of a very famous play in Saints history, who is now confined to a wheelchair because of ALS. And what struck me about his remarks was he didn't speak about what he couldn't do, but what he could. And it reminded me that I couldn't play tennis, but I could help my teammates. I couldn't be there for my family in that way, but I could still be there for them. You know, I couldn't get out of the pain that I was in, but I could still teach my students and help them have a better day. And it was amazing because what we find is in our worst moments, in the hardest moments, that is the time where we most need gratitude and where your kindness and your kind words can make a difference for another human being, like my tennis friends did for me that day. And so I think we're all like my niece's wee baubles in many respects. Life might make us wobble, but with gratitude and support and love from the people around us, we don't fall down. Thank you.
To our performers, thank you to our speakers for giving us such a wonderful assembly this afternoon. Let's thank them one more time. I hope you all have a wonderful break. Enjoy this pause in the year. Enjoy your time to stay in bed a little longer, in pajamas a little longer. And although we've been taught in school that we've been celebrating Thanksgiving since the 17th century, let's be grateful today for President Abraham Lincoln, who made it official and made it a permanent federal holiday for us in 1863. But before we close and sing our alma mater, I have a short video that I'd like to share with you this afternoon. It's a lovely Thanksgiving video created by Meg Rolfson, our very own, and narrated by Haviland Whiting with her original poetry. Be safe and Godspeed to those of you who are traveling over the break, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
I wanted to write a poem about thankfulness, as vast and brilliant as the ocean. I wanted to write a poem that describes the sunsets and the clouds and the mountains stretching out like a promise of forever. But instead, I can only think of one grain of sand, how it catches the sunlight in the palm of my hand. Oh, to be grateful for something bigger than this, the very first fall leaf to float to the ground, a symphony that sets your heart on fire. I can only think of one blade of grass, how it trembles with every passing breeze, the scent of springtime. There are days it feels like I am the rose and that we are the rose, blossoming, blossoming, blossoming. I do not see the world for the bouquet, but for only one petal. I am eternally grateful for the minute and the obsessive. The sun is setting over the hill,
tangling in the treetops.
The smiles radiate in the background as rain flutters down from the sky. I am grateful for fresh water as it laps against my feet.
I am grateful for magnolia green as it hugs me every day and makes us one.
Maybe one drop of color is not vast,
But it is brilliant, and the landscape becomes an abstract experiment in pointillism.
I've always had an excess of appreciation for nature's watercolor paintings. I wanted to write a poem
as large and important as the Amazon.
but I'm thankful for the details.
The blending colors, the bleeding sounds,
The forever and ever and ever.
Oh, to be grateful for living. To rejoice in overwhelming love.
in a wonderful community.
To live a life from girl to girl. To hear the heartbeat race through our veins. Knowing that you can rest your head on my shoulder.
And now if you'll all stand and join me in singing the alma mater.